lovelies! Sorry that it's been a few weeks. I have been traveling and, oh, that makes it sound way more luxurious than I meant. I have been traveling for work. Also, you guys get the messy hair today because it was either re-shower or don't do the video or just deal with the messy hair. And I was like, we're just going to deal with the messy hair. I swam yesterday and then I didn't dry it and now it's kind of like doing whatever it wants to do. It's full of secrets, we'll say that, right? You guys will like me even if my hair is ugly. There we go. Oh God, my mom is gonna have a comment on this hair. I have no doubt whatsoever. So my brain is a little frenetic right now because I have a book coming out tomorrow. It's really pretty too. I can't, the inside, I'm proud of the inside, but the outside is very pretty. So if you're able, please consider picking it up so that I can continue to write. Anyway, my necessary PSA is that Dark Duet comes out tomorrow. So because of that, and because I've been traveling so much, oh my God, there's a piece of hair and it's like underneath the glasses. Okay. I clearly don't have everything together. Oh God, and I didn't put on enough makeup, but you know what? We're gonna deal. So, this is a really interesting one I put out to the universe again. By the universe, I mean the Twitter. What do you want me to talk about? And Twitter said, a day in the life. Like, what does my schedule look like? What does my process look like? Just basically a process post. One of the things that's so interesting about that is that it changes. I wish that it were consistent, but you know what? 13 books in, I am still figuring out what works for me. What works for me from book to book, what works for me based on when I'm home and when I'm traveling. For instance, I have never been a person who writes by hand. I plot by hand and then I write on the computer, right? But the more I've been traveling lately, the more I've realized that I'm really not good at working on the computer when I'm traveling, which is disastrous for someone like me who has 5 or 6 deadlines a year to hit and is traveling like half the year. So math is not on my side in that equation. I am not going to be able to do the work that I need to do. So recently I have discovered that I can write by hand when I'm traveling. So I can't write on the computer when I'm traveling. I can write by hand. And so it's been a process. It's always a process, but it's been a process of figuring out how to write by hand. First, because my handwriting, I will show you, is completely illegible, even to myself. It's like a self-destructing message. Like, I can't read it an hour after I write it, right? But I'm teaching myself to write by hand because then I can do it when I travel. And all of a sudden, I'm like actually getting work done instead of just sitting there stressing out about the fact that I really can't focus on the computer when I'm outside of my control, when I'm outside of my environment. So I'm learning to write by hand. And the way that I'm doing it, because I'm a natural like plotter by hand, is I'm separating. I can't actually find a good example of this that doesn't have spoilers on it, but I'll try to make an example. So I separate it into left side, right side. On the left side, I plot, like I hit the story beats, right? And then on the other side, I write the dialogue. So I didn't actually do it intentionally. I was like, okay, well, even if I can only plot by hand, I have to plot by hand. I have to do something by hand. And then I realized as I was plotting by hand that I started having dialogue ideas based on my plot beats. And so then I just started separating the page so that the dialogue was on one side and the plot was on the other. And I realized as I was doing this that I really had, by the end of it, all of the key components of a scene. So I am learning to write by hand. Prior to that, I was just not getting a whole lot of work done when I travel. Which brings me to the topic of the day, which is the day in the life. And this is a topic I probably shouldn't have even tried to answer in a video, but I am trying to answer it because there is no day in the life. I don't have enough consistency to create a day in the life. The most I'm ever home is 2 to 3 weeks at a time. So if I build in this schedule of what a day in my life looks like, then it's like building in limitations for myself, right? Because it's like why when people ask, what do you need to write? And I say, legit, like nothing but now a notebook and a cup of tea. It's because the more restrictions I put, the more excuses I'm giving myself to not write. Oh, like the light's not right, I don't have the right food, I don't have the right energy, like whatever it is, I want to create as few restrictions on myself as possible, right? As few excuses as possible. So my day in the life changes based on whether I'm drafting something or revising it, based on whether I'm traveling, based on 100 different factors. And it might be easier for another author to answer that question, but for someone like me who does between 50 and 80 events a year and has, 2 to 3 book releases a year, my day in my life is like usually like get as much done as humanly possible. So the few consistencies, aside from things like constantly learning, I get up relatively early. So my day starts around 7:30. I make a cup of tea. I'm trying to be better about the fact that I usually disappear down into the social media spiral, but the fact of the matter is I check social media, have my breakfast, and then the morning hours are the hours when I am most likely to be creatively productive. The reason being, the longer the day goes on and I haven't written anything, the less likely I am to write, because I'm super good at psyching myself out and being like, well, the day, you can tell I'm still not happy with this hair. The day is getting late now, I might as well not even try. Whereas if I start in the morning and I make actual progress, then I'm more likely to continue that progress in the afternoon. And I know that about myself. And other people are night writers, and that's fine. If I get to like 9 or 10 at night and I haven't done any actual writing yet that day, I start to panic. And instead of it driving me, I just say, that's just the sound in my head. It's just, I think I'll just start again tomorrow. So for me, I have to make progress in the morning in order to make progress in the afternoon. The other difficulty is, I know I've talked about this online, that there are so many aspects of being a writer that don't involve working on your book. And I know that always sounds kind of like, oh, cry me a river. And I don't mean it that way. I just mean it's amazing, and you don't really think about the fact that there are enough tasks to fill your day without ever sitting down to write. Whether it's interviews or guest posts or bonus content or social media or marketing or emails or school visits or events or anything that's not actually writing. I could easily get up each and every day, work from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and never write. This is such a mess of a video. I am sorry. Let's blame the book. Let's blame that book. See it up in the corner there? That is coming out tomorrow. It has got the brain all fogged. Plus, I finished a first draft. What is today? I finished a first draft on Friday. That's what I did. So my brain's a little foggy, and I've got to transition back to another one of my books, Vengeful, before I hit the road tomorrow. So that when I hit the road, I can take this journal with me, and I can make some progress. But anyway, there is no day in the life. I make tea. Okay, I'm going to pretend that there is, though. I get up, I make tea. This is like cup number 3. And do you see how big this cup is? It's like the size of my face. Make tea. I try to write. I write as much as I can in usually like 30 to 45 minute windows. I will usually, as beautiful as my bookshelves are, I don't write at home because I have a really hard time not going to Netflix or distractions or whatever it is. So I usually walk to a nearby coffee shop and write there. Come home, I make some lunch, work again from like 1 to 3:34, and then I go to the gym. It's really, really important to me. For me, physical health and mental health are completely tangled together, so I try to work out almost every day. And then I come home, I make dinner. If I have written a lot during the day, then there's no more writing that happens in the evening for 2 reasons. One, because I've now neglected all of the other non-writing things that need to happen in that day. And also because I have really bad insomnia if I'm not very, very careful about what I'm doing before bed. And so if I write up until like 10 o'clock at night, I will not be able to turn my brain off afterwards. So I usually quit writing 2 to 3 hours before bed. But that way I'll go to my emails, I'll go to blog posts, I'll go to whatever else it is that needs doing, and I try to save that for the evening. That obviously changes depending on deadlines, depending on how much work I've actually done earlier in the day, but ideally I have been productive all day, I've worked out, I've eaten dinner, and I get to relax a little bit. But the thing about self-employment is that you basically feel guilty anytime you're not working. It's a thing that I'm trying really hard to deal with and to try and find some more balance, because right now, I finished a book on Friday, and by Saturday, I decided to give myself the weekend because I'm prepping for tour, and there's a lot that goes with that. And by Saturday evening, I felt really, really guilty for not working and was starting to beat myself up about it. And that's not fun, and that's not fair, and we have to refill the creative well. But it's hard. I have a lot of work to do. I have 6 major draft deadlines in the next 18 months. And I have to hit them all. And if I hit them all, victory! And if I start missing any of them, disaster. So much of it is how do I create minimal self-loathing? How do I let myself go to bed at night and not feel guilty about the fact that I am not working anymore? So for me, that starts with getting up early. But like I say, I'm about to head on tour, and all of those rules will go out the window because I won't be getting up in my own home. I'll be getting up in a hotel room. I'll be flying for several hours of the day. I'll get to a new hotel. I'll have maybe a couple hours. I can either work or I can go to the gym. Suddenly I have to start choosing between all of these things. And so I'm really hoping that writing by hand or working by hand, doing my pre-writing by hand really, is going to at least allow me to be really productive and really healthy at the same time. So this was a messy, messy video, from my hair to my words, and I am very, very sorry about that, but I wanted to check in and I wanted to say hi. Oliver, come here. He's sitting directly across from me. He's like, I didn't ask for this. So the other exciting piece of news is that I have new housemates moving in, and they're totally not moving in just to take care of Oliver, but it is a really large portion of it because of how much I travel. If you want to get up. Ugh. So because of how much I travel, okay, go on, you can get down. He got down without scratching my face off. Because of how much I travel, obviously, Oliver needs some co-parenting. And so this afternoon, my new housemates are moving in. So you might see them on future videos, unless they're like, Victoria, keep me out of your videos. And then I'll try to be super respectful. But yes, for those who are worried, I get messages online, they're like, you travel so much. Who's taking care of Oliver? I'm like, thanks, guys. No one's like, who's taking care of you? They're like, who's Oliver's parents? Oliver's the most spoiled cat in the entire world. They bring him presents. They play with him. Every time I come home from tour, he has new toys. He looks healthier than ever. So Oliver is fine. Oliver is taken care of. Worry about me. To that end, I hope I see some of you on tour. I hope I see the rest of you on the internet, and I will so try to be back next week with a talk on how to write query letters. Cheers, guys.